Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is specifically focusing on getting those sharp edges on cakes. Now, I actually uploaded a short Instagram video of this a while ago and you guys went crazy for it. So I thought I'd do a step-by-step tutorial. But what we're gonna start with is a crumb-coated cake. So if you are new to my channel, welcome aboard. Go and watch my cake decorating video and then you can see how to get to this stage. And this is just a thin layer of buttercream all over the cake, exposing some of the cake edges and ready for its next layer. Now, before I put the second layer of buttercream on, I want to show you my new turntable that I invested in. It's a metal heavy-duty turntable. The only issue with it is that there's no non-slip on the surface, so the cake kind of moves around quite easily. But don't worry, there's a really easy way of tackling that. You just get a damp cloth, put it on the surface, and then place the cake on top, and it doesn't move around. Genius. So now I'm going to go over with a second layer of buttercream. Now I've got my Swiss Meringue buttercream here, as always, and some people like to apply this with another piping bag. It's a good way of getting an even coating, but I don't like wasting piping bags, and that's the reason why I just directly apply it with a palette knife. So I'm just going to give it a little mix before I add it on. Sometimes what happens with Swiss Meringue buttercream is that if it's rested, it gets airy. So if you mix it around before you apply it, it knocks out those air bubbles and makes it smoother. So as usual, I'm going to apply the second coating. I naturally do the sides first, it's up to you, however you do it. Again, it's really important to have that first layer really chilled, because otherwise this bit will be really messy. And now I'm going to go on the top of the cake. And usually, if you're doing a drip cake, you don't need to worry too much about the top because you've got the drips to go on, and you have other decorations that cover the top. But in this case, I'm going to prepare it as if I'm not doing drips, which means there's nowhere to hide. So I've completely covered the cake, the top and the sides, and now I'm going to prepare it to get it really straight and smooth. What you need to think of is two angles, horizontal and vertical. So you're either working this way or this way. There's no in between. So let's start with the top. And as I go around with my step palette knife, I'm not really moving my hand, and I'm pushing the buttercream over the edge. Using the turntable as I go, and that's creating that really horizontally flat top. Now I'm going to take my side scraper and do it vertically along the sides. People tend to angle it slightly away from the cake. I don't know why that is, but to prevent that happening, I focus my pressure on the bottom part of the scraper as I scrape. And when you've got a collection of buttercream, scrape it off. If you don't do that, you'll just keep applying more buttercream on and it will just become really messy and uneven. So go around a couple of times. The more you go around, the smoother the buttercream is because you get rid of those air bubbles. Now, as you can see, I haven't touched the top yet. And what's happened is that I've brought the buttercream upwards. Now, in my other video, I then brushed this away, spread it away. I'm going to leave it this time. I'm just going to finish off the outside and then I'll show you the next step. So once you're happy with the sides and they're straight and smooth, I'm now going to put this in the freezer for about 5 minutes. And what's going to happen is that the buttercream will completely harden, and then I will show you the secret of achieving those sharp corners. Okay, so this has been in the fridge for about 5 minutes and it's really solid, which is exactly the stage you want. Now there are a couple of ways how to do this. Some people use a knife, but I take advantage of the shape of this spatula. So what you want to do is basically cut away this excess on the top like this. So decide where you want the top to be and gradually cut into that buttercream. Now if you've left it in the fridge for too long, what can happen is that the buttercream kind of breaks apart rather than slices away like it's doing now. And it is still cold enough that you can just lift it off. I'm just going to put it back in that bowl, and that will eventually soften up enough to use again. So I'm just going to get rid of these excess bits. And just finish off the rest of the cake. So it's not quite finished yet. What I now do is just go around the whole surface and applying quite a bit of pressure, but depends on how cold the buttercream is, and just smoothing out that surface. And then again, going back to those angles, I'm going to go around the outside vertically, and it's just going to catch any excess buttercream at the very top. What it also does is just take off a very thin layer of buttercream on the outside, and it smooths it out even more. So you can see tiny bit of buttercream. Just going to scrape that off. Just double check you're happy. Make sure your palette knife is clean. And then do what we usually do by going from the outside inwards. And what you should achieve is an extremely sharp and clean cake. Now, you can start getting a leveler out and you know, those things with the little bubbles in, and seeing exactly how flat it is. If it's too perfect, it looks a bit machine made, so I'm happy with that. You can see how sharp those corners are, and especially when you're doing a cake without drips, there's nowhere to hide, so you really want to nail those corners, and that is how you do it. I hope you found this helpful. If you found it helpful and make a cake yourself or record yourself doing the same technique, then please tag me on Instagram or shout me out on YouTube or whatever platforms you use. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, because I've got lots more technique videos as well as other beautiful creations coming up. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you soon.